What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Monoposto Driver Career Mode. And today we have episode number 87 for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in 2026. If you missed the previous episode that took place at the Japanese Grand Prix, then definitely make sure you go and check that one out before you see this one. It started off with a wet race, however the rain quickly passed off, and in the final few laps we had an absolutely unbelievable battle for the win between the three championship protagonists in this season: the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso, the Alpine of Esteban Ocon, and of course myself in the other Alpine. And as it turns out, myself and Alonso were still going wheel to wheel on the final lap, but unfortunately it was indeed the Spanish veteran who ended up winning that Grand Prix by just over a tenth of a second. I was practically pushing him across the line, but unfortunately the finish line came too quickly for me to be able to make the overtake with DRS. So we're coming into this race in need of a victory, and it's one that I think is one of my strongest of this season. I feel like I've got really good pace around here, so let's see if we can have another good weekend and start and build some points and see if we can hopefully try and claw some points back on Alonso and Ocon, because we are a little bit behind in the championship now. I think the gap is almost 30 points, so we do need to try and make sure we get this race victory here this weekend. And what do you know, I've done what Max Verstappen could not in 2021 and produced the qualifying lap of the season to take pole by just under half a second. To put that into context, I think in almost every race this season, the top two have been covered by less than a tenth. So the fact that I pulled out such a big margin over the rest of the field is, to be honest, should be terrifying for everybody else. That is the best lap I've ever done around this place, and I've been rewarded with yet another pole this season. I believe that's my 5th, so I think that also means I've had the most poles out of any drivers this season. My Saturday performances overall this season have been so strong, and I've really improved my pace over one lap. My teammate Esteban Ocon also joining me on the front row, showing that it's not just me, but genuinely our car seems to be very good around here. We've got Fernando Alonso in P3 though, so once again it is us three, a class above the rest of the field, and hopefully it's going to be another fantastic battle for this race win in Saudi Arabia. After this Grand Prix there are only 5 races to go to finish the 2026 season. We are underway for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. The tyres are a little bit cold. I could have done with a formation lap, to be honest. Already using the battery, Esteban Ocon is on the hards notice, is trying to out-drag me down towards the first corner, going to try and leave my teammate plenty of space. Although we are in a championship battle, Ocon does send it down the inside, and it looks like he's managed to get faster temperature into his hards. Meanwhile, he takes the lead. Here comes Fernando Alonso trying to go on the inside, but he's wiped me out. No, we've made contact, and my race has just completely gone out of the window, and Fernando Alonso's still here as well. I'm trying to see if I can maneuver the car without taking anybody out, but also somehow the racing gods are on my side, because we have absolutely no damage. I don't know how. I did actually check in a minute, and damage was enabled up to 100, which is usually what I run for these videos, so I really got away with one there. Nevertheless, Alonso has a 5-second penalty for that collision, and to be honest, I couldn't agree more. He just completely threw. He did not need to go for that move. It's only the first lap. Meanwhile, I'm trying to desperately try and get past Felipe Drugovich in the Repsol Haas car, so I just do need to get my head down and try and forget about the start. There's nothing I can do about that now. We are down into P10. Finally going to try and get a move done on the Brazilian driver underneath the hotel section, getting a really good run through there. We might now get a run on the defending world champion Pierre Gasly. The French driver in the McLaren is not going to stand a chance. I've got DRS trying to use a double slipstream from Stroll and Verstappen to try and gain time on the guys in front. I'm not going to go for that yet. I'm just going to wait for DRS, although as it happens I just got a wash of understeer, almost clattered into the side of Max Verstappen there, which was a little bit disappointing. Looks like the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc also has a 5-second time penalty, so maybe there was another incident further back. You might have seen, you know, the whole concertina of cars just completely getting, you know, caught up between the incident between myself and Alonso, so maybe there was some more contact further back if Leclerc didn't notice the incident in time, maybe hit someone. Meanwhile, I'm going to try and do what Fernando Alonso did to me on the first lap, although I decide to kind of back out and make sure Max has plenty of space. Although a couple of corners later, I'm definitely going to go for this this dive up the inside of the hairpin to get myself up into P7. I do have a lot of grip. I am using a lot of battery though, and despite a purple sector 3 starting lap number 4, just using the DRS, Stroll has got a bit of battery deployment. Ocon and Alonso exchanging fastest laps, but I go round the outside, and interestingly the Canadian doesn't offer anything in the way of defence, so looks like Stroll not even willing to help his teammate in the championship battle, as he didn't make life very difficult for me there. And now the start of lap 5, got DRS trying to get past the Haas of Jehan Daruvula to get myself back into the top 5. There has been a couple of pit stops between Stroll and Leclerc, and I do manage to get back into the top 5, although looking at the front, Esteban Ocon is over 10 seconds clear. So my teammate is absolutely romping away with this race, showing that maybe it's just our car is perfectly suited to the racetrack this weekend for me to get pole by such a big margin, and my teammate for me to be absolutely running away with this one. So into the pits I come, one stop, mediums onto the hard compound tyre. Ocon stays out. Now this is interesting because we've seen lots of the AI who start on the hard tyres do a no-stop race and then have to take a grid penalty in the next race. And to be honest, only now did it occur to me that Ocon might well be doing a zero-stop race today. And if that was the case, then he would have to be faced with a back-of-the-grid start at the next Grand Prix at Austin, Texas. Meanwhile, that's a lovely little switchback there on the full performance car of Nick de Vries, also on the hard compound tyres. I believe the Dutchman started on that tyre, so he might be another one attempting the no-stop strategy. Now in the slipstream of Alex Albon, absolutely flying. Purple sector 1, straight up the inside at the hairpin. Nice move there. Albon now also got a 5-second time penalty, so it looks like this track is causing a lot of incidents here this afternoon, and once again, we are behind Lance Stroll. So hopefully if we can get this moved on quickly with DRS. I've only got 50% of the battery remaining. We're going to try and use a little bit more of it now though to see if we can close up even more. Dennis Hauger also a 5-second penalty on the left hand side, so lots of penalties being dished out. The stewards are clearly very busy in Jeddah tonight. Purple sector 2 though, still following Lance Stroll, almost going for the move at turn 23. That was lovely. Just even before we get to the DRS zone, I think I possibly just scared Lance off the road there, which is probably not great for him because he might have wanted to try and defend, or maybe he's not bothered, as before he didn't show anything of defence. But that is a whopping new fastest lap for me there, 1.8 seconds faster than the next quickest driver on track. 2 purple sectors and a personal best in sector 3. Almost a little bit of contact there with Felipe Drugovich. We're making the move up the inside of the hairpin once again in this Grand Prix. Now on lap number 8, the next driver in front is Max Verstappen. The gap is 2 seconds. We've quickly eroded that. Now to the start of lap number 9, trying to go all the way around the outside at the final corner. That's another lovely move. The grip is so good. The hards just seem to be not wearing out this afternoon whatsoever. And I'm just once again looking at the gaps on the left hand side of the screen. This race is getting so strung out. There's Ocon 16.5 in the lead. Oscar Piastri in the McLaren is currently in P2, also on hard. So that to me suggests that Piastri is also going to be trying the no-stop race. Meanwhile, Sainz and Norris have pitted, so that promotes me back onto the podium ahead of both the Audi cars. We've still got a couple of laps left to go. You can see just another purple sector, and that was kind of it. I've just lapped someone. I think that was Guan Yu Zhou, who's in the pits in the Alfa Romeo Penske. So to be honest, there hasn't been much else to show about this race. It's mainly just been an overtaking montage of me trying to get back and recover from where the damage was done on lap number 1. However, even if I hadn't been taken out, I don't think I'd have had the pace to match and beat this man today, as Ocon wins the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and he wins by the biggest margin this season. Over 20 seconds, I think, at the checkered flag. Wow. That is a massive victory for Ocon, because that means he is now once again the championship leader in 2026. He re-overtakes Fernando Alonso in the standings. The Spanish driver is going to be outside the top 5 today, I think, once his 5-second time penalty gets applied. However, the most crucial part about that victory is that in the next Grand Prix, Ocon will be demoted to the back of the grid because he has not made a pit stop today. That is crucial when we are this close to the end of the season now. There's only 5 races left: USA, Mexico, Brazil, Qatar, Abu Dhabi. And Ocon is having to take grid penalties because he hasn't made a pit stop. That is just huge. Piastri will unfortunately also be joining him at the back of the grid because he hasn't made a pit stop in this Grand Prix. And, you know, he ended up 23.5 seconds behind. That's more than a pit stop. That's absolutely obscene, given how close this grid has been. Ocon has just absolutely crushed everyone here this weekend, and I think I could have been right up there with him if my race didn't come undone at the start due to that collision with Fernando Alonso, who will get dropped down behind Carlos Sainz. So it's been a 4-5 for Audi. So in their Constructors' Championship, Surely they've got to be closing in on Aston Martin now, because Stroll hasn't been scoring many points in the last few races. There's the podium at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Ocon wins, then Piastri second, and myself in third. So a race that definitely could have been mine for the taking. I think the pace that I showed in qualifying, I'm very disappointed that, that we possibly didn't win this Grand Prix. I think it was a must-win, especially after Suzuka. Suzuka was a must-win race, and we missed out by the slenderest of margins. What a contrast that was, though. The winning margin at Suzuka was just over a tenth of a second, and today it was 23 seconds. It just shows that Formula 1 can be a very funny and sometimes unpredictable sport. Although what I will say is, given the fact that I was taken out by Alonso on the opening lap and demoted all the way down to 10th place, I will say that I'm happy to recover back to a podium. I would say that was a pretty successful damage limitation Grand Prix. It should have been a 1-2 for our team today though, and therefore one hand on the Constructors' Championship. Without question, our car was by far the quickest this weekend. That was proved by my sensational qualifying lap and by Ocon's crushing victory in the race. There's the final results. The points are completed by Stroll, Deruvula, Gasly and Max Verstappen. In the Drivers' Championship, Ocon takes over the reins from Fernando Alonso as your championship leader by 5 points. I'm still third, 26 points off the lead. I know I've said it the last couple of races, but the next Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas is a must win if I'm to try and keep this championship hope alive. So it really is crunch time now. We really are at the business end of the season, and it's getting super exciting. But that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you have enjoyed it, and remember to stay tuned and look out for the next episode, which will be uploaded soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys all next time. Goodbye.